Hello again, very minimal number of viewers. I want to talk again about Howard Storm. I recently just got his book, My Descent into Death by Howard Storm. Amazing book, amazing testimony. This guy is the real life Dante's Inferno. It is like the most epic, the most terrifying story you ever read in your life. I mean, if you pick up the cover, you think it's going to be like some sort of, I don't know, romantic, maybe mysterious novel, but it's pretty gruesome and pretty terrifying and pretty amazing, and loads and loads and loads of life lessons in this one little book. You need to read it. A little bit about it is he was an atheist professor who had an ulcer burst in his stomach, got sent to hospital, and he died, pretty much. In fact, he knew he was going to die. He told his wife, "I'm about to die," hugged her, kissed her, said goodbye. That's quite sad in the book. And then he woke up, and he was like, "I shouldn't be awake." In my mind, like, he wanted to die because the pain was so bad, but then he was just expecting blackness, and it wasn't. So he was a bit like, "What's going on here?" And then he ended up being like led by some people away from where he was.
So I go over to the doorway of the room, and there's people out in the hallway, and they're the hallway's dank. It's gray. It's not light or dark. It's just gray, and they're all in grayness, and they're men and women. I asked them if they were from the doctor to take me to the operation, and I told them, I said, "I'm really sick and I'm going to have an operation and I'm going to die if I don't get this operation. I was supposed to have the operation 8 hours ago," and I'm telling them all this stuff, and they're going, "Well, we know, we understand. You know, you got to come
quickly. Howard, come out here. Howard, come quickly. Come with us. Howard, we've been waiting for you. Waiting."
And then he ended up like, they ended up being sort of vindictive and mean. As he's walking along, at first they like fooled him into thinking they were good, but then they were like started going like, "Come on, hurry up! You're so useless, you're a fool."
First they were sort of syrupy sweet to get me to go with them, and then when I was going along with them, it was like, "Hurry up, keep moving, you know, shut up, stop asking questions." You know, they started getting more ugly, and we started to fight. I was trying to get away from them. They were pushing and pulling at me, and there are now a lot of them. What originally had been like a handful now was, since it was darkness, hundreds or thousands. I have no idea.
And then he ended up like being in a dark place, surrounded by people very much the same as them, which he began to realise were actually much like the way, lived life the way he did on Earth.
You know, something terribly, terribly wrong with my life, and that the people that attacked me were the same kind of people that I was. They were not monsters, they weren't demons. They were people who had missed it. The point of being born and being alive in this world. They'd missed it, and they'd lived lives of selfishness and cruelty. And now we're in a world where there was nothing else. There was nothing but selfishness and cruelty, and they were doomed to inflict that upon each other and upon themselves.
And then they began to torment him, beat him, do horrible things to him that he didn't even want to really go into detail in the book. And I know in the interview, when he was talking about this, you could see how real this was. Whether or not you believe it to be true, it was real for him. It wasn't something he's making up. What he's saying happened to him.
What they were doing in the beginning part was, it's real hard for me to talk about, and I'm not going to tell you much about it, just a little bit, because it gets, it just gets too ugly. But initially they were like tearing and biting, tearing with their fingernails, scratching, gouging, ripping, and then biting.
But some people might be able to explain it away as something else, but to him it was all right. I mean, it changed his life. I'm not sure if his wife, his wife left him, which as a new Christian he didn't want to happen, and he became a pastor. You know, he left his job, and then now he's running a church, and he's a completely changed man. I mean, so this was real to him, whether or not you believe it or not. He's telling you the story. He's putting himself out there because he knows it's real for him. Some people say it won't. I mean, there's most scientific evidence against this is from Skeptic magazine, which is a magazine designed to be skeptical about this type of things. But scientifically, it's provable to be real. My Descent into Death by Howard Storm, second book I've read on NDEs, and I never regret it. They are the most inspiring and perspective changing things you could ever read. So get it.
And they're playing with me. You know, clearly they could have just destroyed me if they wanted to. They didn't want to destroy me. What they wanted to do was they wanted to inflict pain on me because they derived, pleasure isn't the right word, but they derived satisfaction out of the pain that I experienced.